Good day to you and welcome to another Paddocks tutorial. Today we're going to talk about challenges that arise in identifying scheme rules. The video tutorial is designed for owners, trustees and managing agents of sectional title schemes. The vital role of the rules, the problems that stop the system working properly and suggested solutions to those problems. That's the overview. Let's start off. The rules of a scheme are, together with those parts of the act that deal with management, they are the fundamental, you can call them the constitution of the scheme. So schemes must be run in terms of those parts of the act that deal with management and the individual scheme's own rules. All the terms of the act, as amended from time to time, apply to every scheme, but the rules that apply to any scheme vary. Trustees and owners need to know what rules actually apply to their scheme, but in fact not all owners and trustees do know this. Applying the wrong rule can have very serious consequences. For example, if there's a rule in terms of section 32(4) that varies the effect of the participation quota schedule and you don't know about it or you apply it wrongly, you can collect the wrong amounts of money from people with all sorts of consequences. So let's look at the problems. Why don't people know? Well, the fact of the matter is that the Act relies on trustees to know what rules apply and to make these available to owners. Most trustees aren't trained. There's no duty on them to get confirmation from an expert third party which rules actually apply. Some trustees just assume that the prescribed management rules apply in an unchanged fashion, which they very seldom do. Some trustees believe that they can make rules. Let's not go there. The body corporate copies of rules are very often not up to date. The prescribed management rules have been changed every year for the last 10 years or so, and you need to be on top of it and keep your set of rules updated to know what actually applies. There's a fundamental and a language complexity. The transition from Schedule 1 and 2 rules to prescribed management and conduct rules is a technically complex exercise, and I'm not going to go into that now. I'm going to do a separate video tutorial on this particular point. That'll probably be the next one. But the prescribed management rules are reasonably understandable. They're written in reasonably decent language, even though it's from the 60s and 70s. But it still uses Latin phrases and legal terms, which aren't common knowledge. Very often additional rules added perhaps by the attorney acting for the developer or by the body corporate are in very technical legal language, which are hard to understand. The official records aren't easily accessible because there are only a few deeds registries in South Africa. They're simply not accessible. Very few managing agents visit them, and even fewer trustees. You need to actually go in, you need to know where to go, you need to stand in a line and pay, and once you've done all that, you get a ticket and go down to the search rooms. You need to know what you're looking for, you need to know how to search. This is actually the preserve of conveyances, especially trained clerks. The rules may be microfilmed, they might not, and in phased development, sometimes you've got to look at a whole lot of different plans in different files before you can understand what the rules are actually saying. The official records also do not provide comprehensive or necessarily reliable details of the rules. The conveyancer certificate under 11.3b, it may just say Annexure 8 and 9 rules apply plus these additional rules. You don't get a single document showing all the scheme's rules, even though many scheme's rules change on a regular basis. The fact of the matter is that since 1994, the notifications by trustees of changes to rules haven't been examined. So the content may in fact just be wrong. It may not be reasonable. It might not apply equally to all sections. It might even be contrary to the provisions of the Act. Nobody's checking that. And I've certainly found many instances in which detail is put into the Act which appears to be rules. They're not rules because they are contrary to the Act or some provision under the Act. They might go beyond body corporate functions and powers, or you might find a conduct rule that is contrary to one of the prescribed management rules, which also is not allowed. The processes behind the amendments, that will either be a unanimous or a special resolution in the main, but also sometimes getting the consent, the written consent of individual owners. That's not checked. So in many instances, what's put into the deeds registry and appears to be in order is not in order because due process behind it hasn't been followed. And also, there is a practical problem. Since 1994, the deeds registries haven't taken proper care of sectional title documentation, and that means documents get mixed up, they get wrongly filed, and they are also irregularly removed. It's a sorry thing, but that's the reality. People are sometimes unsupervised when they look at these things, and people simply remove them. What are the solutions? Well, right now, trustees and managing agents must check the content of their scheme rules. They must insist on being sure that what they're applying is in fact correct. If there's missing content from the deeds office or anything else that is clearly unreliable, they must get legal help to determine what their actual scheme rules are. They must either learn how to assess the changes made from year to year, or they must pay a qualified person to tell them what those changes are. What are my rules now? What must I apply? In due course, the Community Scheme Ombuds Service processes will assist. Each form put into the deeds into the Ombuds Service, either by the developer or by the body corporate, will be properly examined as it used to be, and there will be the ability to adjudicate disputes on which rules actually apply. There's also the possible obligation to consolidate rules when this is necessary to aid understanding. Thank you very much for watching this Paddocks Club tutorial, and I look forward to talking to you in the discussion forum.